I was reared in the Irish language. In fact, at home, I learned English off the street, I guess, at the age of 3 or 4. And always in my mind, I'm slightly uncertain whether I speak Irish or English or whether I know the language at all, either Irish or English. So I'm in that kind of zone of being unsure about my language, allegiance, my history, my past, Ireland, and all those things about ourselves, our identity. Horse at Balaclava, 1854. 1 second, muscles rippling, glossy flank, flowing mane, the picture of life. The next ripped open by a shell from chest to loin as by a surgeon's knife. Remark the glaring eyeball and distended nostril, gnashed teeth. Next year, rotting harness, a debris of skin and leather, straps, cloth and buckles collapsed about the skeleton. War. Sergeant Talbot had his head swept off by a round shot, yet for half a furlong more, the body kept the saddle, horse and rider charging on, regardless. Skip. I'm writing this in a black flip-top police notebook I gleaned from the bomb damage of Her Majesty's stationery office. Fragments from a piece of the Tupperware lunchbox that held the wiring. They could tell the bomb maker wore marigold rubber gloves. I'll read a longish poem which is almost entirely his words, but slightly altered and slightly switched about here and there. Sedan. Cavalrymen asleep on their horses' necks. In the fields, heaps of sodden troops. The countryside charming, covered with rich crops, but trampled underfoot. Vines and hops swept aside by the flood of battle. The apples blasted from the trees, scattered like grape shot. Gutted knapsacks, boots, cavalry caps, jackets, swords, mess tins, bayonets, canteens, firelocks, tunics, sabres, epaulettes, overturned baggage cars, dead horses with their legs in the air, scattered everywhere. Dead bodies, mostly of Turcos and Zouaves, picked over by pickpockets, one of them staggering under a huge load of gold watches and teeth. Hands hanging in the trees in lieu of fruit, trunkless legs at their feet. I will never forget one man whose head rested on a heap of apples, his knees drawn up to his chin, his eyes wide open, seeming to inspect the head of a Turco or Zouave, which, blown clean off, lay like a cannonball in his lap. What debris a ruined empire leaves behind it. By the time I reached Sedan with my crippled horse, it was almost impossible to ride through the streets without treading on bayonets and sabres, heaps of shakos, thousands of imperial eagles torn off infantry caps, or knocking into stooks of musketry and pikes. I thought of Sevastopol, mirrors and fragments on the floors, beds ripped open, feathers in the rooms a foot deep, chairs, sofas, bedsteads, bookcases, picture frames, images of saints, shoes, boots, bottles, physic jars, the walls and doors hacked with swords, even the bomb shelters ransacked. Though in one dugout I found a music book with a woman's name in it, and a canary bird, and a vase of wild flowers. I don't do it for fame or recognition or applause. I mean, if you get that, it's nice. Sure, it's but you're finally doing it for it. It's something that you have to do. I'm impelled. I can't go around. I mean, one of the effects, if I'm an author, a writer, or whatever, I can't read anything for its own sake. And I remember a time when I was a young lad, and I used to enter a book purely going into the book just to get the story and to go into it unspoilt by how will I use this in my work, how will this influence, well, what's he doing with that? There's a wee trick here I don't quite get, and I can't read anything, and I mean anything. Stuff on the street, which I say, that's an interesting sign, what's going on there? For example, in the backyard of the Heaney Centre where I work, there's a sign which says, let me get this right, smoking only is permitted in this designated smoking zone. And I'm going, interesting, What does that say? What had the author in mind, when he or she is saying, insofar as I understand it, the only thing that you can do is to smoke. You can't actually be in this zone, you can only smoke, However, and there's not every day I see a sign on the street or I read something in the paper or a book or whatever it is, and it's just, it's the way I am. I'm always interested in why is it said that way or how is it done, and I do it for the pleasure of arriving at a way of saying things which until then I hadn't done,